I'm kind of like a one-man team as far as I'm my own athlete, I'm my own judge, I'm my own critic, I'm my own commentator on this film, I'm my own audience, except for you watching now. I'm my own cheerleader, my own cameraman, my own groundskeeper, because there's a lot of setting up and tearing down of equipment. It's like I said, a one-man team to do it all yourself. As far as the scoring, I'm my own judge. The high bar that you're going to be seeing is a 6'7" high bar, and the scoring goes as such. Just to mount the bar is worth 7 points, and then from a mount position you go into the handstand, and once you achieve the handstand for 1 second, you've got 8 points. If you can hold it for 2 seconds, it's 9, and if you can hold it for 10 seconds or longer, it's a perfect score of 10 points. I think the best I've ever done is 7 seconds last spring in 2001. Also, you're going to be seeing what I refer to as, well, it's like a track and field event. I call it the high dive, where I just take a running start, jump on a mini tramp that's, I think, 7 inches off the ground, and dive over a bar, which is, in this film, I think it was last August, you'll be seeing last August event, 5 foot 3 inches. And there too, there's no scoring in that one. It's either you make it or you don't.
Today is High Bar Day, August 19th, 2001. Not bad for number one. A lot of strength there. Well, at least I'm starting out early pushing that envelope. Well, I counted 3 seconds while I was up there, which would be a 10, but somehow I think I might have counted fast. That's a 9.
I know this is a lot of psychology or psychological stuff. I guess everything begins with that. You have to have that sort of a mentality before you can proceed with physically doing something. You have to have your own philosophy of what works, and I think that's the building blocks for anything that you want, any endeavor you want to go after. So here's some more philosophy. Things like the house that you live in is actually your own being, your own body. Houses can be bought and sold and burnt down and rebuilt, and you could live outside in a tent, live in an apartment, live in a mobile home. I mean, wherever your dwelling is important, of course, but as far as priorities go, the real house that you live in is your body. And as long as you feel good and you feel strong and you feel fit, life is going to be a lot more fun to live.
Score of 7 that time. Score of 10 is a deep end dismount, and as always, how I choose to disc out the bar after being up there scoring a 10 is my business. Score of 7 for that one. Unfortunately. You may want to call that one step beyond. To my recollection, that's the worst deep end I ever did. I gotta get my coordination back here. Must be getting kind of puckered. Gotta catch that second one.
Okay. This film was meant to be mostly inspirational and motivational, and somewhat demonstrational as well. About 3.5 years ago, I got back into gymnastics at nearly a 30-year absence. That was the sort of thing I enjoyed doing when I was a teenager, and now at 46 years old, I'm doing it again. And it's because I started thinking about the things I liked in my life. You live long enough, you look back and you think, what did I really enjoy doing? Well, that was it for me. Some of you out there may have been way into basketball or baseball, softball, ice skating, hockey. I mean, there's so many neat things that you can do in this life, and a lot of them in high school sports that you've done in the past. You may believe that now you're no longer physically able to even dabble in it. Well, you may surprise yourself, because the whole purpose of this film is to speak to those that are what I consider adults, not young adults, just adults that, you could be 90 years old. I consider you an adult. I don't consider you elderly, because you're able to physically do a lot more than you give yourself credit for. I think a lot of society just believes that after your teenage years are done, or even once you hit 30, your physical ability to do a lot of things is gone. It deteriorates. Well, it doesn't. That's kind of a mindset, and it's very self-destructive, because what happens then, if you believe that sort of thing, is you sit in a recliner and you watch TV with a remote control in your hand, and then you do start to physically dwindle.
Score of 9 and I'm feeling fine. The rhyme for tonight is 10 again. There it is. Score of 8 on that one. Funny how I can do a handstand for as much as 9 seconds on a high bar, 6 foot 7 inches off the ground, and yet lose my balance when I'm touching my toes, huh? What a clown. Overshooting, I'm calling it. I gotta get my coordination back. Once again, a score of 7. I gotta get another win and fix the next 5. A score 07. I don't know how I do it, I just do it, that's all. Score of 10, I was up there for, I think, 6 seconds. At this late stage in the game, number 22, that even amazes me. score a 7 that time.
You don't have to be concerned about the standards, what I would call the world standards, what's expected of athletes like at the Olympics, where everything has to be in a certain form, and it's very, very high standards like it should be. But see, you only have to impress yourself now. You don't have an audience, and you don't have to have a judge, a legitimate judge scoring you. All you have to do is progress to the degree that you feel comfortable with. You don't have to be pushed by a coach because you're your own coach. When you are in the Olympics and even in high school, that's all required to have legitimate judges, legitimate coaches and such. But to do this as a backyard gymnast, you don't have that. So the pressure is off. The scoring, you can score yourself however you like. The important thing with your own scores is that you leave yourself some room for progression. If you're able to begin by doing a somersault very well, and you say, well, that's good, but I know I can do better, score it as a 7. Leave yourself some room for future scoring. And also, as a coach, you don't have to push yourself like a coach has to push the athletes to be their very best. You don't have that. You can push yourself to the degree where you feel comfortable and not beyond, because you don't want injury. Again, you don't want to injure yourself. So if you come home from work and the thing that you like to do after work is go on a bicycle ride, don't just jump on and go 20 miles right off the bat, because you probably won't ride that bike again. Or if you do, it'll be a long time. You'll be like saddle sore or something. And so you progress. You begin with a 1 mile trip and a 2 mile trip. It's a very common mistake in athletes, especially adult athletes, that have been away from things for a long time. It gets to be the time of year where there's New Year's resolution. I'm going to get back into shape, and I'm going to lose so many pounds, and I'm going to buy this exercise equipment, and all this happens, and you knock yourself out. You feel sore, tired. You don't have a desire to do it anymore, so you don't, and that's the end of the story. You don't want to do that. This is something that you got to start out carefully with, and progress as you feel necessary. You don't have anyone pushing you but yourself. But you can be your own worst enemy with this. You can push yourself further than you realize, because a lot of these aches and pains don't happen until the next day or the day after that. And so, I know I'm stressing this a lot, but be very careful when you first start. What you're going to see in this film isn't, like I said, I've been away from gymnastics for almost 30 years. It's not like I just started doing this stuff suddenly. I've been working on this for 3.5 years, so what you're about to see is the product of that progression during that amount of time. So don't misunderstand this and just jump into something and say, well, that Mike guy on the video, he could do it, and he's 46 years old, I'm going to do it, and walk out in the backyard and hurt yourself. You've got to realize that it's all progressed. You know, you pick up from something very basic and go from there.
Here we are again. Today is a record-breaking day, 5'3" on the high dive. Last 2 sessions was 5'2". I think I made 17 out of 25 the one before last, and 23 out of 25 on the last one a week ago. So I thought that was pretty darn good, and I jacked it up another inch too. 5'3". May have been a little premature, we'll find out, but I kind of doubt it. We'll see, time will tell. 5'3". Here goes number 1. By the way, it's August 25th, 2001. Got my chest hairs brushed, but you know, as always, a cold start, no warm up. Pretty darn good for the first one. Well, I cleared my chest good, but my knees cut it. That's more like it. Yowza. Brushed it with my chest hairs, but there it sits. Still up.
Another thing that's really important that you can do throughout the day, it's really important how you carry yourself. Do you remember in grammar school when your teacher would always say, stop slouching and sit up straight? Well, you know, they've been doing that for years, and the reason for that is it's really important, especially when your body is growing, that you grow with good posture by sitting properly and standing, carrying yourself properly. As an adult, it's as important, if not even more important, because if you're depressed or you're tired, or it's just naturally more comfortable or easier for you to walk in positions with your shoulders drooped, looking down at the ground and kind of bent over, the world's going to see you as a very different person from as if you walk with your head erect, as if you've got, you know, your self-esteem and your shoulders up and your back straight. It's good for your health, it's good for your posture. You can maintain your height, you don't deteriorate as quickly as you would if you start slouching. Body language, it'll say an awful lot about yourself, just the way you physically appear if you just carry yourself well and you sit straight, stand straight, and look straight ahead and not downward and sad.
Textbook there. Sorry folks, touched it with my chest. I gotta move the mats in a few inches, but I made it. It's quick, it's clean. Put it in the washing machine. Okay, I have an audience this time.
Well, you're good. I can't even do that.
Thank you.
It's a good thing we can't.
It's 5'3".
That was excellent.
Still have an audience.
Don't you get scared of that stuff? I get so scared I wouldn't be able to run.
It's likely I'm probably older than most of you watching this video right now. In order to achieve this sort of thing, well, I can't think like a 46-year-old man and be able to do any of this stuff. When I'm doing an exercise, for instance, on the high bar, when I first grab a hold of the high bar and I start thinking about making the mount and then pressing into a minimum of a 3-second handstand, I don't think like a 46-year-old person, or I wouldn't even be able to do a pull-up. You've got to think, I think of myself as 15 years old, and I convince myself of that and put that thought in my mind. And I know that sounds kind of insane, but actually in order to physically be able to do these sort of things, you have to have a mindset like a young person. And your mind and your spirit doesn't age. So you can revert right back to that frame of mind quickly, if you like, get through the exercise, and then when you're all done for the day, go back to thinking like a 46-year-old and go to that business meeting and have your behavior such as a 46-year-old businessman would be. It's not like you have to think of yourself as a kid constantly and be a misfit in society by going to this business meeting and acting like a 15-year-old kid, making pair airplanes, throwing them across the conference table. That's not the idea here. But it's vitally important that when you do undertake sports again, you've got to get this frame of mind of a very young person, a teenager. Don't act your age. Don't think about your age. Think about 15, 16, whatever age it was when you were playing basketball or playing hockey or whatever sports you choose to get into. You can turn it on and off like a light switch. But the important thing is it's got to be on when you're doing these sports, or you're not going to be able to achieve it. You're going to look at yourself like I would. I'm 46. What am I doing here? I'm not supposed to be able to do this. I can't do this. Largely that's what you're going to think. I can't do this at my age. How often have you heard that? Well, I used to do it when I was a teenager, yeah, but my goodness, that was 30 years ago. That kind of a mindset is not going to allow you to be able to perform any of these exercises. So it's very important if you intend to pursue this like you did as a teenager, that you think like one, because if you don't, unfortunately, you're not going to get very far in reacquainting yourself with whatever sport that you used to be interested in.
My knees hit that time, folks. That's great. I know I'm getting the hang of this. I don't know how I do it, I just do it. That's all. Well, I touched it with my nose, but it stayed up. And like I say, it's on clothespin, so it don't take much to take it down. It would have had to have been a very gentle brush each time I touched that thing. Otherwise, clothespins would let go. It's a record-breaking, it's a record-breaking night, boys and girls. My left elbow slightly touched the bar and it quivered, as you may or may not have seen, but again, I made it. Feel good, feel spry. Excuse my language, but gosh. Well, after my 350,000th time, I should be getting the hang of it, right? Rah, rah. Solid, clean.
The next segment of this film is going to be a high bar again, a high bar event. This one was performed in July of the year 2000, I think July 7th. It's different in the aspect that it's an aerial view of what it looks like when you do a handstand on a high bar. It's kind of neat to watch. The purpose for different viewpoints, of course, is to see where you're making your mistakes and where you're doing well. And it's important to look at both of those, see what works and what doesn't. And the ideal thing, of course, is to have a video tape of your performance, so you can critique that later and improve yourself by viewing the tapes. And it's important to have the different viewpoints in order to see where you're losing your balance, side views, front views, and in this case, an aerial view. So I kind of think you'll get a kick out of this one, just for no other reason. It's just fun to watch from that vantage point. It's kind of like a bird's eye view. But it truly is important that when you do perform different exercises, or no matter what sport it is, a basketball, shooting baskets, that if you videotape it, you can see, again, what you did well and what you didn't, and work on your weak points and continue with your strong points and improve them. The hardest thing about the handstand on the high bar, of course, is the balance. It takes, a reasonable amount of strength to mount the bar, and also to go into the handstand, the strength to do a push-up upside down. But you're doing it on a bar that's probably, I don't know, 2 inches thick or thereabouts. And so balance is the big thing. It's the hardest thing about that exercise as far as, performance ability, because if you have enough strength to mount the bar and do the push-up, that's fine, because you have to have that. But the balance thing, as you're going to find out as you progress in this stuff, is the trickiest, because you're balancing on a bar, one straight bar, that's just that big in diameter. And that's why it's important, and it has been for me, to film from different camera angles. The side view is very helpful, because as you mount the bar and go into the handstand, you can see from the side view of the bar if you're favoring this side or this side. Of course, if you fall off backwards, you know which side, but it still helps the camera to see, when you review your own films, to see as you're going, pressing up into this handstand, where your hips are in relationship to the bar, where your shoulders are, and where your feet are. Because if you make a successful handstand and balance, you study that very carefully, that film, and you see the position of your shoulders and hips and knees and feet and everything. Because whatever you did successfully, you want to duplicate over and over and over. And then, the front view and the back view, all these different angles are helpful to a certain degree for certain reasons. And the aerial view, if at all possible, in some exercises is quite helpful too. And as you'll see in this film, you can kind of see where especially your hips are positioned over the bar, because your hips are kind of the center of your being, and for any sport, that's your center of balance. Whether it's in judo or karate or sumo wrestling or any sport, I'm sure all coaches will tell you that's your center point, your hips. So that's largely what you got to concentrate on.
That's what I was looking for.
The following section of this film is another high dive event, although this is different. It's indoor, and it's not in a gymnasium. It's inside of a house. You may wonder why, what a backyard gymnast does in what I would refer to as the off season. The off season in gymnastics is not wintertime because it's performed in a gymnasium. Although if you don't happen to have a gymnasium at your disposal, you certainly can't be outside in the backyard in the snow in December doing high dives and handstands. Well, I suppose you could, but it may be very uncomfortable. So what a backyard gymnast does on his off season, as I would call it, is you move it inside somewhere, your garage or your house. In my case, I use both. I've got a set of rings out in the garage, and also another high bar in the garage. That one's at 6 foot 8 inches. And inside the house, I have actually I'm standing on it right now in place of where my living room used to be. I've got exercise floor. It's 12 foot by 14 foot, and it's for 4 exercises. I've got, I think it's 4 by 4 by 6 inch foam blocks, 168 of them, underneath several sheets of plywood. And on top of that, I've got a mat. And that's for, handsprings, back flips, that sort of thing, which in another video, I'll be performing that and explain how some of that stuff is done. And also I'll go into detail of how to build some of this equipment, or what you're going to need, what the materials are made out of and such. But anyways, enough of that for now. We're going to be getting into the next portion of the film, which is, again, high dive. It's 5 foot 6 inches. I think earlier in the tape you saw an outdoors one in the backyard, which was 5 foot 3. I progress an inch as I see fit, meaning if I make at least 22 out of 25 dives successfully, I'll raise the bar an inch. Well, since August, the last high dive that you saw, now it's as of December 25th, the next one you'll see is 5 foot 6. Now these bars I believe are 6 foot high, so I'll just keep going until I get to the top of the bars, or as high as I can physically possibly do this stuff. And with that, if I go beyond 6 foot, I'll get taller bars. There's no limit to this. The only limit is your physical abilities, of course. And so the equipment, you can always improvise, adjust, replace, increase heights as you see necessary. So it's really kind of neat, this indoor one, because I start out in a bedroom and I run down a hallway, so I'm running a total of 20 feet through the house. And then, as in the backyard, I jump on a mini tramp and dive over the high bar. In this session, because I had just raised it from 5 foot 5 to 5 foot 6, I believe out of 25 jumps, I successfully made 12, which is pretty good for the first time on an increased height like that. But I was really satisfied with it. And as I say, in the winter time, to bring this sort of thing indoors, it keeps you in shape during, again, what I call the off season. And it's fun, it's a controlled environment. Outside, you have wind, you have passersby that may distract you, occasional dog barking, car going by, whatever. But indoors, a little more controlled environment, and for that reason, it's probably somewhat more helpful in performing these things. So I think you'll kind of get a kick out of this one too. December 25th, 2001. We're doing the high dive again today, and today is another record-breaking day. The last time I did this
exercise was November 26th at 5 foot 5 inches high, and out of 25 routines I made it 22 times, which is awfully good. Good enough for me to raise the bar another inch. So today we're at 5 foot 6, and I'm feeling good, feeling strong, and it's always a challenge, you know, when you increase the height and you get a little nervous, because there's a word for that called normal. And that's how I feel right now, but got a lot of positive energy. Like I say, I feel strong, ready to go for it. And with the record of 22 out of 25 at 5 foot 5, I'm confident to carry on and raise it. And here we go. Here's number 1. Well, as always, I never warm up. I just have a cold start. I did pretty good, except my legs caught. I gotta lift them quicker. That was number 1. Number 2. I know I can make this as I warm up. My chest hit at that time. But, yeah, we'll have her down pat here pretty quick. Number 3. And they said it couldn't be done. Number 4. Yeah. Too good to be true, but it is. It's real. Number 5. Well, I could feel my chest hairs brush the bar, but as always, it's on clothespin, so it doesn't take much to knock that bar off. Here, evidently, doesn't do it. It counts. I made it. Number 6. Oh, God. That was terrible. I don't know what happened there. That was probably the worst one I've ever done. I must not have had my mind on business. Number 7. My knees cut it big time there. Number 8. Yeah. We're back on track, Jack. Number 9. Cut it with my knees again. Darn. Excuse me, number 10. Yep. Yeah, I brushed it with my legs, but not enough to knock the clothespins down, so it counts. Here we go with number 11. That's great. Super duper. Yeah. It's my knees again. I gotta keep in mind to lift my legs quicker, that's all. Number 13. No. Gosh. Again, I have to lift my legs quicker, and he's cut it. Still there, ain't it? I must have done it right that time or something. What do you think? Number 15. Darn it. Excuse my language, but I'm mad. Gosh darn it. My chest hit it. I got a little rambunctious there. Darn it. Yeah, my chest hit it again. I gotta get my head straight here. Number 17. I know my, you might be able to see the bar quivering still. My upper arm on my left touched the bar, but to my surprise it stayed up there, so I must merely grazed it. It counts. Number 18. Well, I don't know if the camera picked that up, but there again, I brushed the bar with my knees and it's up there. Like I say, you know, it's on clothespin, so it's so delicate. As far as I'm concerned, if I touch it and it doesn't fall, it counts because the clothespins are, I don't know, when they collapse, then I don't count it. That's what I'd call a miss. Number 20. How hard is it? Made it. Number 21. Oh, that was not good at all. Well, I gotta catch a second wind because I know I'm getting tired and this is far too dangerous to not get that second wind and keep your attention, and so I'm gonna pull myself together and I'll be right back. Number 22. Well, once again, I cut it with my knees, and you know, I know I'm getting tired, but got 3 to go, and I just gotta, you know, keep on keeping on. Number 23. I knew I had it in me. The bar's still quivering, you can probably see that, but number 23, I made it. I just kind of rubbed it with my legs. The big thing is getting my legs up quick. And as you get tired, it's harder to do unless you really put your mind to it. I hit it with my chest. A little rambunctious again. See that? you all know what that means. After 25 exercises, and it takes a lot of energy. You get pretty tired at this point, as you could imagine. Final one, I made it. I'm really happy about that. Anyways, according to my scorecard, if you can see that, I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I didn't put a star on the last one, there's 12. Out of 25, which is nearly half of them. Considering that I just raised the bar an inch, and this is, a record-breaking day, I think that's pretty good. Made about half of them. Probably gonna have to work on this height for, at least a month. I don't like to raise the bar unless I get at least I'd say 22 successful jumps. I think number 8 was one where I kind of screwed up. I don't know if you noticed on the camera angle, but number 8, when I replaced the bar after missing on number 7, I had one end at 5'6" and the other end at 5'5", and I made that jump. So I can't really count it because both ends weren't equal. But I'm sure as heck not going to make it up tonight because, I'm tired and I don't want to injure myself. Anyway, it's pretty good. I made about half of them, and for raising the bar an inch, it's good enough. We'll see you next time. We'll be back at 5'6" for the next couple sessions and go from there. See you then.
There may be a follow-up film to this, possibly a series. If there's enough interest in it from the viewing audience, I may have a series on other events that I do, such as floor exercises or rings, other events that you won't be seeing tonight. Also, if there is a big enough interest, I may get into more instructional videos showing how to perform some of these things. And the equipment that you have and I have are not professional equipment. So unlike like the high school and Olympic athletes and college athletes that are able to mount parallel bars in different ways, they have the proper equipment, meaning their equipment, the parallel bars, the bars themselves flex. The bars that we'll probably be using don't. So it's a whole different animal as far as you'll be using a lot of strength to mount these bars. You won't have the added extra lift from the flexibility of the bars. Same with the high bar. It's metal. It's just metal pipe. There's no flexibility to help bring yourself up to the bar. So the instruction I'm going to have to give is going to differ quite a bit from what you'd be learning from professionals or the high school coaches, because the equipment differs that much. If you do have an interest in any of this stuff, I'd be curious to know that. I could contact you through the internet on particulars if you like. I know I may get some critical mail from this, but I hope nobody feels or misunderstands the intent of this. The intent is to make adults feel or realize the strength that they still have inside of them, the mental ability to think like a teenager again, which will trigger physical ability that they thought was long gone. And it's meant to help people. I'm not gaining any money or anything from this. I just have a desire to allow other people to realize what they have inside of themselves so they don't waste it. That it kind of wakes them up to utilize the youth that's still inside of their bodies that they may think has been long gone. It's humanly possible, and I've been able to do it, and I want to pass that on. It's free, So if you do have an interest in this, contact me through the internet address on the credits, and we'll talk to you then.